Cruisers are a loyal bunch, but everybody has their limits. These are the recent cruise line changes that cruisers say will definitely impact their future bookings. Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. Now this is a little bit of a hot topic because let's face it, if you're watching this video now, you love cruising. I love cruising, but we are seeing some changes that have come in recent months and continue. And cruisers are actually saying, hey, maybe enough is enough. And they do have some thoughts on changes that cruise lines are making, well, that they say is going to impact their future booking. Now, after noticing a couple of changes on my most recent cruise and reading through many of the comments under my videos and on social media posts, I asked the cruisers in my Facebook community, what could cruise lines do that would make you stop cruising, at least for now? Now, I got many great comments and responses, and what I did is I broke them up into 10 different categories that came up the most often. Now, most of these responses were from loyal or avid cruisers, but I did have one common theme, one common response that came from new cruisers that I'm going to share with you towards the end of the video. Now, by the way, I should make it clear right off the bat that I love cruising, but for anybody who says that we should never criticize the cruise line, something to remember is they ask us for feedback. At the end of a cruise, they ask us to fill out a survey. They ask us what we think. So this is a form of feedback after all, and I think it is a good thing for cruise lines to know. Now, before I get started, I did want to mention that if you like this video, if you find it helpful, informative, or enjoyable in any way, then please do give this video a big thumbs up, and please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Let's get started. So the first thing that cruise lines could do that would actually make people stop booking cruises is cut back on the entertainment. So many cruisers said that entertainment is a very big factor for when they are booking cruises. And hearing about recent changes and cutbacks to some of the entertainment on some of the cruise lines, well, people are saying that that is one thing that they do not want to see. They go on a cruise, they love their entertainment, they love their live music, they love their production shows, they love their guest entertainers, and that this is one of the things that separates cruises from other types of land vacations and all-inclusive resorts. And this is one thing that if cruise lines decide to cut back majorly on entertainment, they would think about other types of vacations. Number two, a decrease in food quality and as well the menus, in particular in the main dining room. Now, this is something personally that I have noticed on several of the different cruises that we've done, including even our recent cruise. And we absolutely have loved our cruises, but something that we have noticed is that menus in the main dining room have often been sort of simplified, if you will, and the choices, the menu options have also been simplified. I guess the idea of this is to sort of push people to go towards the specialty dining. But one thing that a lot of people say is that they loved cruising for the value it was and the fact that they could go to the main dining room and to be able to try some different types of foods, some foods maybe that they don't get every day and get a chance to try at home. And the simplification and even the decrease in the menu options is something that cruisers are not appreciating seeing on recent cruises. Now, as well, some cruise passengers are noticing that the food quality is also decreasing. So decreasing in the main dining room and in other areas on the cruise ship. And this is something that people are saying that cruise food was a main reason that they really enjoyed cruising, that they looked forward to going to the main dining room. And if that is something that is going to change on cruises permanently, this is something that will have people looking elsewhere. Number three, now this is switching gears a little bit, and I don't think we're actually hearing from cruise lines that they want to do this, but people are saying this is definitely something that will turn them off cruising, have them stop booking cruises for now, and this is any return to any of the past protocols. So masks, vaccine mandates, and even that old muster drill, that came up as well. People are not liking that. They're saying that would definitely turn them off cruising. Number four, higher prices on cruises in combination with several cutbacks. Now, this is probably the biggest area that cruisers are saying, okay, it's got to stop, or it's got to slow down at least a little bit, because the prices of cruises are increasing, but at the same time, cruise lines are kind of making it very obvious the different cutbacks they are having. So cutbacks in services, cutbacks in housekeeping, cutbacks to food and menus, cutbacks to the entertainment. Now, while many people are saying that they do understand the increase in pricing, we all see the world that we're living in now, the combination of those cutbacks at the same time are making it hard for some cruisers to see the value that cruising once had. Now, at the end of the video, I will share what cruisers did say that they are planning to do about this, or what they've started to do already, and I'm going to share my thoughts on this as well. Number 5, the hikes in gratuities. Now, realistically, gratuities have always been a little bit of a controversial topic. People have different thoughts and feelings around the culture of tipping. However, more recently, we have heard from people who usually say that they really do tip well. They don't mind tipping the crew, but they are feeling like a lot of it is passed on to the passenger, and they would prefer to see crew making a higher wage to begin with. Now, in the end, I think realistically, even if the cruise lines do pay the crew directly, the cost of the cruise is going to go up for the cruise passenger. But I think people are just feeling like those extras, well, they're having a little bit enough of it. Now, by the way, some cruise lines do include gratuities in the cost of their cruise, Virgin Voyages, for instance, and other cruise lines do have an option that you can include the gratuities by getting one of the all-included packages, for instance, like Princess and like Celebrity. So please let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Number 6, the Disney effect. Now, what do I mean by the Disney effect? Well, people are saying with all of the upcharges, it feels a little bit like Disney and less like an all-inclusive type of vacation. Now, what a lot of frequent cruisers had to say was in the past, they would go on a cruise and they would know their basics were all covered. And there was always a little bit of nickel and diming, so to speak. You knew you had a few extras like alcohol and maybe Wi-Fi and specialty dining if that was something that you chose. The basics were all pretty much there. And even if you only did that, you would have an amazing cruise vacation. However, cruisers are saying that they're noticing those upcharges more than ever, and they're also noticing that the value is beginning to erode. Class divisions. Now, this is not something that is a recent change. This was something that was already starting a little bit before the pandemic. And of course, it's not really class divisions, but it is basically a suite class, and having certain areas of a lot of the newer cruise ships, especially, that are exclusive to guests that have booked in that suite class. Now, there are two schools of thought on this. Some people say that the passengers that are booking those suite class cabins and therefore have access to those exclusive areas, sometimes really coveted areas like the forward or the front of the cruise ship, well, that basically that subsidizes the cruise for the rest of us. I include myself because I don't book in suite class, but that basically makes the cost lower for everybody else on the cruise. Whereas other people say they don't have a problem with certain exclusive areas, but they do feel that a lot of the best cruise ship real estate is now going to suite class, and they feel like maybe the regular passengers aren't getting the best experience. Now, I will share a recent experience when I was on the Celebrity Beyond, and of course, I was in a regular infinite veranda cabin, and I have to be honest, I didn't find this to be the case. While there was the retreat area, and I'm sure it was absolutely beautiful and gorgeous, I've seen it in a lot of the marketing materials, but I really did find that the rest of the cruise ship that was accessible to everybody was absolutely stunning, and I didn't feel any lack at all. No more free room service. Now, this was one of the things that I really loved on a cruise ship, even though I didn't use it that often. I did use it on occasion. I really like the included room service. It made me feel very special on a cruise, and this is something that a lot of cruise lines are changing. Now, in some cases, they still have a free continental breakfast. I personally think that that's okay, because when you're rushing off to an excursion in the morning time, sometimes you do really appreciate having that light continental breakfast. But a lot of people felt very strongly about it, and they wish cruise lines would, at a minimum, continue to have a free continental breakfast available to all. Limitations and extra charges on main dining room items. Now, I think there's an expression that food is life or something like that, but I think if you mess with the cruise food, well, you're messing with the life of a cruiser. So this is definitely something that people have noticed. Now, one of the changes that many of the different cruise lines have made is that there is an additional charge for an extra lobster tail on many different cruise lines, including on my recent cruise. I have to say it surprises me a little bit, because sometimes the lobster tail is very small and you can still order other additional dishes. But in any case, this is something that's happening on some of the cruise lines. And what people are saying is they can understand the lobster. They're okay with that. They even can understand an extra charge for more than 2 entrees or main dishes. But what they don't want to see is more extra charges for an additional appetizer or an additional dessert, or for people sharing a main dish. So most cruise passengers do understand the idea that cruise lines want to eliminate some food waste. They also want to keep the cost down where they can, but this is where cruisers want the cruise lines to stop. Number 10, buffet cutbacks. So I know there are people who love the main dining room and then other people who love going to the buffet, in particular for dinner in the evening. Now, something that some cruisers have noticed, and I did notice this on a recent cruise because people asked me to check it out, and I did. And it is that on some cruise lines, what they're doing is they're actually making the dinner buffet much smaller, closing down many of the different stations so that there is less choice for cruise passengers. Now, this is something that we did see on the Celebrity Beyond. There was more than half of the buffet that was closed, and the choices, to be honest, weren't really that enticing. The lights were even low on that half of the buffet that was closed, and it really felt very sort of dark and dim and really out of the norm for what the rest of the cruise ship and the energy was like. And by the way, even though I had an amazing cruise on the Celebrity Beyond, I am putting that in the cruise line survey. Now, most of these comments came from people who have cruised for a while, but I did have some comments that recurred from new cruisers, and the gist of it basically was many of them had gone to all-inclusive resorts before, and they're going to be comparing the value and I guess the value of the experience as well on cruise ships, because as they said, at all-inclusive resorts, their alcohol, their meals on the most part, and as well most of their activities and just the things to do are all really included in that all-inclusive resort. So they really are going to be looking at comparing cruises to all-inclusives for the value of the experience. So what are cruisers going to be doing? Is everybody stopping booking cruises? No, that is not happening. Most people did say they are going to continue to book cruises. However, some people said that due to the cost of cruises increasing, we all know the world we're living in right now, but some people say that they are being a little bit more cost conscious and they are checking out different cruise lines for price. They're looking for deals and they are planning on cruising a little bit less. Now, some people said that they're not going to continue to be loyal to their previous favorite cruise line or cruise lines. So they're saying that they're going to be looking, or they have already started to look at other cruise lines that offer more for the price, or that even cost a little bit more, but that do include more in their cruise or have a higher quality of food and service. And finally, I know this is a little bit blasphemous, but some people say that they are going to be trying all-inclusives, or if they did all-inclusives before, they're going to go back to all-inclusives again, at least for some of their vacations. So what are my thoughts on this? Well, I know that everything changes over time. Cruising changes just like everything in regular life. But I do think cruise lines do need to be careful with that ratio or that equation to make sure that cruising remains a very good value for what you are paying and the quality of food, service, and entertainment that people do expect to receive. And of course, I do understand that cruise lines do need to be profitable. They also need to make up for those losses that they incurred over the pandemic, but I do think that they should be slowing down some of the different changes, in particular the cutbacks and the reductions of many of the basics that people know and love. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Please share with me in the comments below if any of these things or other things are affecting the way you book cruises. Are you not booking cruises anymore? Are you looking at other vacations? Are you planning on cruising less? Please let me know down in the comments below. Now, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Bye for now, and happy cruising.